What's been the hardest part to building the team you have?
Everything. I mean, it's super hard to build a team.
What do you think of the future in terms of like health and wellness of like people are just starting to really understand how harmful scrolling is?
I do think as we continue to get more digital, more automated, more reliant on things like AI, real life is going to start coming back again. And I think we're already starting to see that with like social clubs and run club. How do you balance conviction in your own thoughts and beliefs?
We go to a church called Harborside up in Harbor, Florida. I mean, that's where my source of truth comes from.
Why do you, as a founder, choose to put yourself out there so much with content versus just kind of being behind the scenes and letting the company kind of do its thing?
My business partner, Michael, I mean, he's been all in on social media since like 2018, 2019. And just seeing what it's done for him. What are maybe like 2 or 3 things that are like inside the DNA of someone that are like non-negotiables in your opinion?
A good sense of self and conviction.
At what point did you like realize like, okay, this is not a side hustle. This is going to be a successful business?
It was probably around that time once I really started to feel like I had
What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of Successful DNA. I am here with my friend Jake Kurtz. Jake, welcome to the pod.
Well, yeah, appreciate it, man. Nice to meet you. That's how I know you're a good entrepreneur. Is I'm just meeting you now for the first time. I've just been talking to your team.
Yeah. It's the best team in the world. You can't have them. You can't steal them.
Good to know.
Or else. Let's start with a bang here. Let's talk about. Who's your biggest client in your opinion? And maybe not biggest, maybe, one of your favorite or one of the best ones in your opinion. And then, or maybe the one that has the coolest story about landing them.
Okay. There's a couple different ways I could answer that question. I mean, the most recognizable name would probably be the Florida Aquarium because so many people drive by it every single day. And the reason that that's kind of a cool story for me is because I can just still picture the original days of Brick Media when it was just me with my laptop, just going to coffee shops. I had no team. And I would drive by places like the Florida Aquarium and just be like, man, that would be cool to work with a brand like that one day. And even just to have the opportunity now to run their social media presence, and they just signed a long extension with us so that we're going to be doing it long term. And just the way that all came together too was just a very unexpected coffee meeting with somebody that wasn't really even involved with me or with the aquarium in any way. But then like over the years, a couple different dots got connected and he was helping them. And then he made an intro with me and we ended up working with them. But it was just a cool example for me of like, you never know when you're sitting down with somebody for coffee, for lunch, just networking, where it's going to lead in like 5 years, 10 years. So Florida Aquarium's a really cool one. Cappy Law, it's a personal injury law firm over in downtown Tampa. That's been a really cool story because they were actually our first client ever in 2018, and we still have them today. So
says a lot.
It's just hard to ever find an agency client relationship that's like 8 years in the making. Yeah. And just seeing that, it was Ryan Cappy, the owner of that firm, and like 1 or 2 assistants at the time. And now they have like half of a floor in the building that they're in, and they have like 20, 30 people on their team. And that's just been really cool to see because we've kind of grown together. So
big season pass holder with the Florida Aquarium with my 6-year-old and 4-year-old.
Makes sense. That's good.
They got rid of the water park out back. Not happy about that, but it's a feces infested water park. It got shut down every 10 minutes. Right. I felt like.
No, yeah. It's a good spot.
Yeah, and then it's definitely way better than the Clearwater Aquarium.
I'm biased, but I would agree. Yeah.
I mean, they have the dolphins over there. That's cool, but it's really all they have.
Yeah.
But anyways,
good spot.
All right, before we get started on going way back, we're gonna go childhood. Let's start off with this next question. What's the secret to the flow, the hair flow?
Oh man, I think it's just good genetics. Okay. I don't know. I mean, my parents both have super thick hair, and I think I just got blessed with that. But something in the Pittsburgh water.
Everybody's jumping from Apple Podcasts and Spotify to YouTube. Now go look at your hair.
Oh yeah, hopefully, yeah.
All right, let's start back with childhood. Where'd you grow up? Obviously, you just said Pittsburgh. What was childhood like? Any entrepreneurs in the family? What was growing up like?
So I was born in California actually, but that was only for like a year or two when I was a baby. And then my parents moved to Illinois, like right outside of Chicago. My dad worked for United Airlines, so he was always moving to different airports and stuff like that. And then they settled in Pittsburgh where they had family and that's where they had grown up. And I pretty much spent 7 or 8 years old up until I graduated from college in Pittsburgh, right outside of Pittsburgh. Big Steelers fan, Penguins, all the Pittsburgh sports, like still to this day, it just doesn't leave you no matter where you move. Surprisingly, no real entrepreneurship in the family, which I think kind of is now a core part of my story. Is I'm kind of the first one that's ever gone rogue and kind of done my own thing. And, you know, I grew up, my dad, like I said, worked for the airlines. My mom was always like working all these different office jobs and things like that. And I went to college and kind of always grew up just thinking I'd join a company and work there for a long time and then build up my 401k and just kind of live a traditional life. And then I guess my story moving down to Florida is kind of where everything started to take a turn, because right after college, I went to Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, and I had a friend who had moved down to Florida right after graduating school, and his grandparents had a condo on the beach in Clearwater, and he was just like living there. He didn't really know anybody down here. And he and I were catching up on the phone one day, and he jokingly was like, "Hey, Jake, you should come check out Tampa Bay. It's really cool." And all I really knew about Tampa Bay at the time was like the Bucks and the Rays and the Lightning. I didn't really know much about it. But in the back of my head, even though it was a joking around sort of conversation, I was like, like it just kind of stuck with me for like a couple weeks. And looking back, like, you know how sometimes when you look back, like all the dots make sense. But at the time, I mean, I had no idea. But looking back, what I know about myself now is I'm definitely the type of person that gets restless, and I like change and I like excitement. And I basically decided to move down to Florida, long story short, and live with him for a few months. He was my roommate. I just lived in that condo where his grandparents lived, and got a job in marketing when I moved down here. And then eventually he and I moved over to South Tampa and got our own place, and we're living together over there and just kind of working our jobs that we got down here. And then I realized over time, I just kept bouncing between different marketing jobs at agencies, in-house departments. I was always kind of tinkering with little side ideas and building little websites and blogs, and I was always putting out content on social media. And I could never stay in a job for more than like 12 or 18 months. And I was just like, man, what's wrong with me? Like, because I would always catch up with my parents on the phone, and they're like, Jake, are you ever just gonna like stick at some job and like grow there and figure it out? And my mindset was always like, well, eventually I'll just find a company that I love to work for, and I'll just be there for like 10 or 15 years. And then throughout all of this time, I was always putting out content on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, just kind of never really had a plan for it. It was kind of just like, I like to put myself out there. I like to experiment with these platforms. I like to just like share things and put things out there. It's funny looking back, I'm like, I would be working these marketing jobs and I'd be putting out marketing thought leadership content on LinkedIn. And I was just like a marketing specialist at a company, and like all my coworkers like, what are you doing, dude? Like, why do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just like to do it. And maybe subconsciously looking back, it was something where I knew if I put myself out there, you never know what opportunities are going to open up. But like, I wasn't even really thinking that at the time. It was just wired into me for some reason. And then LinkedIn over time, like I was just posting all this marketing stuff. And at the same time, while I was making content, this was back in like 2016, 2017 timeframe. Back then, everybody was treating LinkedIn just like a resume tool, and nobody's really posting anything. So when people were going on to LinkedIn, it was just updates from their network and then my posts. Like that was it. And then I started connecting with different people on LinkedIn, because I was like, well, if I'm going to be the only one on the feed that's really popping up, and I connect with all these business owners, they're going to all start seeing my stuff, and they're going to be like, who is this guy? So Jeff Gigante, who was on your show not too long ago, the founder of Next Level Brands and big part of Chichio Restaurant Group, he was somebody that I must have connected with on LinkedIn over that time frame. And at some point, he and I started messaging each other in the LinkedIn messages. And pretty much it was just like, let's go sit down. Like, I see you post stuff all the time. And for me, I was like, I go to your restaurants all the time. Like, let's just go sit down for coffee. And this is back when I'm working a corporate job. And during that meeting, I really had no agenda. I was just like, I know how to run ads. I know how to do social. I'm good at this. I'm good at that. And Jeff just picked up on something about me during that meeting. And he just looked me in the eyes and he's like, bro, you got to do this on your own. And at that point, I had never had anybody successful in business tell me something like that. And it's just crazy. Like I get goosebumps even like thinking about that story, and like, cause I can still picture him saying that to me and how I felt. Cause I never, like I said, I never had entrepreneurs in my family. I never had anybody that was like encouraging me to go do my own thing. And I think hearing somebody like him kind of give me permission to like even think that way just set me on a trajectory of like, well, maybe like, what if I did do that? And then I started researching side hustles and freelance and all this other stuff online that I started seeing, and, you know, looking at podcasts about entrepreneurship. And right around that same time was when I started going back to church again. So I feel like my faith was building again, and like all this positive stuff was entering my life. And slowly but surely I started to pick up side clients, and, you know, I was making like a couple $100 a month extra on top of my job. And then sometimes it was a couple thousand, sometimes it was 500. But then slowly but surely over the course of the months, it was like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. And it got to the point where I was like, oh shit, like I really could probably do this if I wanted to. And then around that same time was when I met Kelly, who's now my wife, but she was my serious girlfriend at the time. And we were already living together. And we had like a $1,500 a month apartment that we were splitting, and expenses were super simple. Neither of us were ever super fancy type of people that like to buy stuff. So it was like, now's the perfect time to try this if I want to. And she was working in a full-time accounting job at the time. And I just knew that if I quit and it doesn't really work out after a couple months, I can just easily go back and apply for other jobs again. But yeah, that's when the original version, I like to say, of Brick Media started, was August 2018. That's when I took the full leap.
Okay.
But that conversation with Jeff was like 2016 for context. So it was like, that was like an early seed, and then a couple years of dabbling with different things. And then I finally got the courage to leave the corporate world.
And then what were the early developments of that company?
Me with my computer offering anything I knew how to do. Website building, running ads, running social accounts, getting freelance photographers and content creators involved when I didn't know how to do something. But it was really just grinding it out and trying to get as many clients as I possibly could.
And then at what point, like, what was the transition from like it being a side hustle to obviously it's a full-fledged business at this point?
What's up, you guys? I wanted to introduce to you our done-for-you Airbnb investing service called BNB Turnkey that has massive tax implications. It's basically an investing service that allows you to invest in cash-flowing Airbnbs and not do any of the work. It's best explained in 3 phases. Number 1, we find, analyze, and underwrite the property. In phase 2, we handle all the interior design and construction. And then phase 3, we manage the property on the back end. The best part is most of our clients qualify for the short terminal loophole of the IRS tax code. This allows for average clients to write off over $200,000 in depreciation on their tax bill. For more information, click the link in the description to connect with our team. As always, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the episode.
So I took the path of, I would bring on consistent freelancers and 1099s, like photographers, videographers, social media managers. And then after that, it was like, okay, I feel like I kind of need to control these people's schedules a little bit more and have them be a little bit more consistent. So then it was like, okay, well, maybe I can turn these people into part-time W-2s, because I was just a little bit too afraid to take the full plunge into full-time salaries and all that stuff and have people locked in. So I was like, all right, well, now you'll be like 25 hours a week and this is your hourly rate. But then it at least made it start to feel like I had a little team that was dedicated. And then just over time, once the financial side of it made sense, I would just transition people to full-time W-2. And it was like a couple people. And then we're at 21 people right now, full-time W-2.
And then, you know, early on, so 2018, 2019, what's maybe like one mistake that you made that you would have done different?
It's a good one. I think I probably would have hired full-time people faster. I think looking back, I just had a lot of fear and a lot of doubt that what I was doing was long-term going to work. Like a lot of second guessing, like, am I going to have these clients just for a little bit and it's going to fizzle out? I also think I would have removed myself from the weeds a little bit faster and delegated faster. My business is pretty well delegated now. I mean, everything's handled as far as client relationships, and even we have a sales team now that's growing too. So even on the new business side, I'm not really having to do as much anymore. But I think delegating faster, I think everything would have just been further along now had I not second guess myself so much at the time. But
at what point, and maybe it was kind of when you really went all in on the W-2 side, but at what point did you realize, like, okay, this is not a side hustle, this is going to be a successful business?
it was probably around that time, once I really started to feel like I had a team that was working alongside me and I felt like it could run whenever I wasn't there anymore. I mean, once my wife and I started to be able to actually go on trips and like do things and the business would run successfully, like I would test it for 4 or 5 days and go on like a long weekend trip and it's like, okay, like, is everything good still? And then I'd come back and everybody's like, Jake, it's fine. Like, we got this, And once we started getting more established brands as clients too, and stopped getting as many moms and pops and that kind of thing, and just hearing the results and, how happy the clients were. In 2020, for context, so we started out as a digital marketing agency that was doing a little bit of everything from 2018 to 2020. And then in 2020, when COVID happened, I, of course, just had more time to sit there and reflect on what I wanted the business to look like long term, because everybody was at home and all that stuff. And business was just kind of slow and weird. So I was like, what do I want this to be? So I started looking around in Tampa and looking internally at our business and just realizing all of our happiest clients are always the ones where we're doing social media for them. Mm-hmm. And then I was also looking in Tampa and I was like, social media companies in Tampa. And the only thing I was finding on Google were marketing agencies that were full service that just happened to do social media as one of their like 5 services. Mm-hmm. And I was like, there's nobody in Tampa Bay that's going all in on this. Like, it's such a big thing. Like, it's like the biggest thing in marketing. Mm-hmm. And that's when TikTok was becoming a thing and people, like random people were going viral and like changing their lives on TikTok. And then short form video became the main format on social. And I think around that time, I started to notice that social and audience building and content creation, and you probably remember this too, like it was getting a lot more complicated for businesses to execute because it was no longer the days of you can post a really pretty picture with a nice caption and you'll grow. And you couldn't just throw a couple clever hashtags at the bottom of your post and grow. So businesses are trying to figure out like, well, I don't know how to do video. Like, I don't, how do you do this whole video thing? So around that time, we were already doing really well with social media with our prior clients. So I made the tough decision to just cut everything else out except for the social media side. And I, at the time, was like, this is going to be a big risk because like we're making all this revenue with website and SEO and Google and all this other stuff. And it was actually, looking back, the best decision that we had ever made. That's awesome. Because we started to own that space in Tampa Bay. And we sort of became the go-to for social media management over time. And we never would have done that had we not been fully focused on it, because when a business just tries to dabble with social media, you can't fully get there.
Do you think you'll bring back more full service ever, or do you think you'll just stay in the social media lane?
For now, I mean, we're just going to stick with social media. I like to be really good at one thing and just really narrow in. And of course, I'm always open-minded. I mean, nothing is ever a no for me. I feel like I'm the kind of entrepreneur where everything is maybe. So it's like, I don't know, like it's hard to answer that. But with AI and how that's changing search behavior and how people are going to be discovering things and all of that, you never know. Yeah. But as far as right now, we're just still executing on social. There's still so much opportunity there.
And what's the story behind the name Brick?
It's really just building for the long term. Brick by brick is kind of the mentality. At the time, I knew that it, in the early days, it was just like building a brand, building your presence and all that stuff. And the name Brick Media just flowed really well. But over time, especially with social media, because with posting and building a brand, it really is like a day by day, post by post sort of thing. So unless you go viral and just kind of get lucky, but yeah, brick by brick mentality is kind of where that all is now.
When you bring on new clients, like what are some of the things from a business perspective that you're seeing they're making mistakes on that you create solutions for?
So a lot of the time they're doing outdated forms of marketing, and they're thinking about marketing more from like a boardroom centric point of view and sort of academic point of view versus an actual consumer centric point of view. So we always just try to open our clients' minds to the fact that when you look around at normal people, what are they doing? Like they're on their phones, they're on social media. And a lot of the time we'll start working with a client that's spending like $50,000 a month on like billboards and print and all this stuff that, they just have gotten accustomed to over time. So a lot of it's that mentality of like what got us here is kind of what we're still doing. And they just need to open their eyes to the fact that this is the current thing. And it's funny, a lot of people view social media as like the future, but it's like that's, if anything, it's like the past/present. Like it's, it's the main thing now. So,
and then kind of tagging along with that, and you've already mentioned AI, like where do you see like the social media space like in the future?
It's hard to say. I mean, AI is definitely the biggest shift in technology since the internet. So it's almost one of those things where like the same way that we couldn't picture the way that our lives are now with our phones and with the way that technology is, we probably can't even picture what the future is going to look like with AI. But I do think that there's going to be a lot of things that everybody's going to have to get used to. And kind of like with the iPhone, when everybody was like, nobody's going to just like be on the internet all day long. And we could never picture having a computer in our pocket. Our lives are just going to look completely different. But regardless, we're always going to be connecting with people in some way. So as far as, marketing companies go, and as far as Brick Media goes, and the way that I view my entrepreneurial journey, wherever the attention is going of people, that's where we're going to go. And it might just be on different platforms, different formats. Glasses are obviously emerging as a big thing. So it's like, you just never really know what the platforms are going to be. Because obviously the iPhone as the main device, that obviously dictates the apps. And then that's kind of how we're all scrolling on a feed. But it's like, what does that look like when we're all potentially wearing glasses? Like, is the iPhone going to seem super outdated in 10 years? So it'll be interesting to see. But I just think businesses, agencies all just need to be focused on where is the attention of the end consumer.
What do you think of the future in terms of like health and wellness of like, people are just starting to really understand how harmful, scrolling is. Where does that land with you on social media?
I mean, when I have my business hat on, I'm obviously pro social media, because if you're trying to grow a business, that's where the eyeballs of people are. But in terms of real life, I mean, even I struggle with social media sometimes. I have to have limits and put my phone down I try to put it down at 8 p.m. and just live my life. And, my wife and I hang out at least for a few hours every night without our phones. So it's hard to say, but I do think as we continue to get more digital, more automated, more reliant on things like AI, real life is going to start coming back again. And I think we're already starting to see that with like social clubs and run clubs and people not drinking as much and just like focusing more on their lives and trying to be around each other and be connected. So we're already starting to see like little trends in that direction. But I think the value of human interaction is going to go through the roof as we get more and more disconnected with digital tech.
I think it's going to make your business more impactful, because like if people are limiting social media use, then the content on the limited use that they are using it for needs to be good.
Yeah, I mean, it's all supply and demand at the end of the day. Supply and demand of eyeballs.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so if there are less on there, then the media's got to be good. So no better way to be good than using Brick.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, you can already feel it now when you're on social media. It's like content that used to be groundbreaking like 2 years ago is now everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, at what point does that change, or do people get sick of it, or is there a new platform that emerges? Do photos come back? Does long form come back? Like, you always have to obviously be in alignment with whatever the trend of the day is. But I also like to have a healthy amount of zig when everybody else is zagging.
Yeah.
So even lately with my own content, I'm like, do I start doing more long form stuff?
That's my next question. Do you think long form's coming back?
I don't know, but it's worth being a part of it and trying, just in case it does. That's kind of how I always am. It's like, instead of predicting what's going to happen next, it's like, just dabble a little bit and be open-minded about everything. Like it's funny when I'm thinking about social content and all that stuff, I'm always like, what is everybody not doing right now? And like, is there a chance that could end up being the thing in a year or two? So it's stuff like that where it's like, you always just at least want to have an open mind. I think people sometimes just get so tunnel vision, they like can't even think about what else is outside of it. So I always have a healthy amount of that mindset. I think it just comes from that creative place.
I think in our industry, educational long form is kind of making a comeback. People are craving it.
Yeah.
On the tax advisory side, the CPA side, the financial advice side, people are craving it more.
I think live is coming back. Or not, I guess it's not coming back. Live is definitely emerging because I think the authenticity of live, like you can't fake it. So I think people just subconsciously know when you're live, it's like, this isn't edited. There's no text over top to try to hook me in. It's just these people are talking or doing whatever they're doing live. And I think that's why you see so much with like streamers exploding on like Kick and Twitch and TikTok live, TikTok shop, like all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, and Whatnot is another big app that people are buying collectibles and things like that. Whatnot.
Never heard of it.
You can literally, it's just a bunch of people live selling like collectibles. It's big in like the sports card world and all that kind of stuff. I get into that stuff.
The sports card guy in Tampa?
The guy that owns the shop on Dale Mabry?
No, he has a course where he teaches people how to buy and sell sports cards. It's like
I need to meet this guy.
I'll connect you with him.
Yeah. If you see this clip, whoever you are, let's talk.
Let's transition to more or less the culture behind your team and everything. Like, what's been the hardest part to building the team you have?
Everything. I mean, it's super hard to build a team. So I think the thing that leaders struggle with a lot is trusting their team. And I think I've done a really good job with that. I don't know where it comes from necessarily. Like, I don't know if it's just like humility or something with the way that I grew up or how I'm wired. But when I hire somebody, I do not stand over their shoulder and micromanage what they're doing. I hire them and let them do their job. And then, of course, there's review process and accountability and all that great stuff. But when I hire somebody, I'm like, I'm hiring you to do this, and I'm going to let you do your job. So I think having trust for my team has been a big deal. I think transparency with the team about where things are at with the company and how I'm thinking about things, and like really being there with them as like, I always just try to be like, I'm part of the team. Like, I'm not like above you on some pedestal. Like, I'm just with you guys in the office. We're all part of this team together. So I think having that collaborative feel where it's like, I'm on the same level as everybody else and we're all in this together. And the fact that I'm never checking in like, hey, are you doing this? Or are you doing that? And I think that builds just a culture of like, people want to be around. And
I think that's huge.
Yeah.
I hate when people on our team introduce me to somebody like, hey, this is my boss, Elliott. I'm like, don't call me that.
Yeah. It's like, I'm just your team member. Yeah. It's like, I'm the CEO of the company and like, I need to be a leader and have vision. But I just view that as like another role in the team. You know what I mean?
How do you handle that relationship between like friend and boss?
That's a good question. I definitely have a healthy balance there. We're not like hanging out outside of work a whole lot. Like, there's definitely lines and boundaries there. Most of the time when I see my team and talk to my team, it's in the office or over our teams and calls and things like that. We do team events and things like that, but I try to make sure that when my team is not in work mode, they're not always hearing from me or like feeling like we're still kind of half in work mode. Yeah. We have a 4-day work week at Brick too. So that's been a good additional thing that's a boundary. It's like we work longer Monday through Thursday and we're kind of all grinding and putting in some extra hours Monday through Thursday. But then as soon as Friday hits, it's like they're not really hearing from me. So they feel like they truly have a 3-day weekend every week. Yeah. So we've always had a good boundary and good work-life balance to where it doesn't feel like they're kind of always working, even when we're not. You know what I mean?
And then that question kind of had me thinking about like the relationship between like friend and boss.
Right.
I think one way that I would answer that question, just now thinking about it, is I preach to our team like, hey, I don't need you to do anything crazy. I don't need you to be anything special. I just need you to be your best.
Right.
Like, the best is the expectation. Mm-hmm. And I think what's helped me is like, they're getting my best too. Like, they're getting every single piece of Elliott that my wife and kids aren't getting. Right. And so
that's a good point.
When best is the expectation going both ways, there's going to be a healthy relationship. even if like, of course I like, our C-suite, we're tight because I talk to them like, multiple times a day, every day. Like they're my best friends. But even outside of being best friends, they know that they still have to bring the juice every day.
Right.
Because once again, best is the expectation. It goes both ways. They're getting my best. I need their best. And we'll all sing Kumbaya at the end of the day.
On that note of kind of being at your best and things like that, I started going into the office every single day again this year. I just felt something in me was like, you just need to get back out into the world. Like I think post-COVID, everybody's been in this mindset of like kind of working at home, working at coffee shops, and just kind of that whole remote lifestyle. And I think it's healthy in some ways for certain people, but I also think for a lot of people, they don't realize that it's actually not helping them because there's not really a boundary anymore between personal life and work life. So what I've really enjoyed about this year so far, going back into the office every single day, is I'm fully 100% Brick Media when I'm at the office and when I'm at work. And when I'm at home, I'm fully Jake, the husband, in personal life. Like I'm not bringing a little bit of Brick Media to home. I'm not bringing a little bit of personal life into work. So I'm able to be my full best self in both of those different categories of life. And of course, as an entrepreneur, like it's always going to blend a little bit, but trying to have as many boundaries as I possibly can allows me to lock in both of those different areas.
I was talking about like yesterday to a buddy about he owns his own business too, just about like working at home versus working in the office, and that's just been a debate since COVID, right? And we're Monday through Thursday office, Friday work from home, and I think that was a mistake I made at the beginning. What he does is Wednesday work from home, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday work in the office. Makes so much more sense because like I needed some of the team to be here to meet me at a property this Friday.
Yeah.
And sorry, I'm out of town for this wedding. I'm out of town for like, and listen, I'm not trying to talk bad about my team. Of course, 98% of them are doing the right thing on Fridays and working. But there's always going to be, the 2% that are taking advantage of it.
Of course.
And so I think that was some of the mistakes. They call it town hall, my buddy's company. They do once a month and just more updates in the company. And there's like a Q&A session. And one of them was like, hey, can we change the Wednesday work from home day to Friday? He was like, why? Why would you do that? So well, we can have like more of a relaxing 3-day weekend. He's like, no. So it's like,
nah, it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it's just tough. I mean, I don't think there is a right answer about, how many days should be work from home, how many days should be, work home, strictly virtual. What day should it be if it is a virtual day? I mean, and every company is different. I think, I forget what company it was one of the big ones, whether it was Apple or Amazon, or maybe it was Tesla, like kind of after COVID, like there was a big uproar for the company when I think it was Elon was like, all right, we're 5 days a week now, but it's just different.
I've been requiring my team to come back into the office on Wednesdays because I've never required everybody to be in the office because we're always out and about filming content and at our client locations most of the time. So it's kind of a remote thing by nature. But I've started having everybody come in on Wednesdays. And I think everybody's been pleasantly surprised at how it's like actually impacting their life for the better, just being out again around people.
Yeah.
I just think we're wired to be around people.
Oh, big believer. What I mean? People need people.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm a full believer in that. Mental health wise, like I just don't think being in your house all day long on a computer is good for your mental health. And yeah, some people are more, shy than others and more introverted than others, and it's a challenge sometimes. But I think it's different too. Like when you start thinking about it from a business perspective and business owner perspective, you got to think about the lifestyles of your team members are all different, especially comparing your single, not married, no kids team to your, married couples with kids teams. Like those are two different, we're starting to transfer from, where we were 3 years ago, as we were just starting, we were more of a young individual, fresh out of college, crew. Now we're getting more and more babies being born, so it is different. Like we have an interior designer and accountant on our team. They're married. They just had their first kid. Cool. So it's like, because then you get into like, it's not really fair to treat them differently than I would treat, our and Vic sitting here, and I don't know if they have boyfriends or not, but, let's say they're single and like, Brandon and Jess who have a 1-year-old at home. Yeah. It's like, maybe I'll be more flexible with Brandon than Jess because I get it. Yeah. I have a third kid on the way, and like kids are hard. Yeah. They're time consuming. They're doctor's appointments, and there's sleepless nights, and there's.
When you're a business owner, you're required, in my opinion, to, even when you get to a certain scale and size, you still need to know roughly what your employees care about on a one-on-one level, even as you get bigger. And I think that's also where a lot of people go wrong. They try to get to a certain scale, and then it's like they don't even know anybody anymore. Yeah. Even with now, when we had 3 people, 5 people, I obviously knew everybody's lives, like what was going on at all times. But now, even now that we're 20, I still feel like I have a general sense of each person just because I take the time. I don't, like I said, I don't micromanage, but I still make sure I have little check-ins every once in a while to just be like, hey, how's everything going? Just life, business, just what's happening. What are you still motivated by the same things? Like, has anything changed? What's going on? Like, how's Britt going? How's your role? Is there anything I can be doing better?
And what's the next best thing as it gets to a point where there are too many employees?
What's the next best thing?
Yeah.
Delegating and trying to have a good system where you're still knowing enough, but you have a good way of finding out without you having to do it one-on-one. But I still think, though, like even picturing like 50 people, I still think I could get to everybody like every once in a while, once a month or something,
Yeah.
It's just putting in the effort.
It's funny we talking about this. There was our chief legal officer taught me a word, which is probably what you want. You want your legal team teaching you things.
While you're looking that up, I do have a question for you. I want to flip the interview on you.
Here we go.
How do you balance conviction in your own thoughts and beliefs with getting outside feedback from people? Like, how do you know when it's like, I need to take this person's feedback versus I need to trust my gut here?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little different for me and you, where you and I rely heavily on our faith. Mm-hmm. You go to Radiant, right?
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so a lot of our team goes to Radiant, and we go to a church called Harborside up in Safety Harbor, Florida. Mm-hmm. That's where my source of truth comes from, and my conviction comes from, and in my quiet time, and if I'm struggling and I need a solution, that's where I'm running.
Yeah, me too.
So I think it's different for, of course I'm going to listen to people that have been through what I'm going through, but at the same time, in the end, no one's going to beat the wisdom of Jesus.
Right.
And so now, practicality of that sometimes hard. Mm-hmm. I think as men, problem comes, we want to roll our sleeves up and we want to fix it. Mm-hmm. So just trying to be wise and getting as many opinions as possible on the matter. But in the end, you're the one that's got to pay the bills and pay the payroll.
Yeah. I made a post about that on my story the other day where I was pretty much just talking about, of course, it's valuable to take in other people's opinions, but at the end of the day, you really have to trust your own gut intuition more than anybody else, and you kind of have to respect your own opinion more than anybody else's. But obviously for us, it's like that's coming from a greater source. Yeah. But I think that's something that has allowed me to remain successful as an entrepreneur is, even though there's all kinds of advice out there, social's flooded with it. Even when you get around smart people and they're doing things in certain ways, you're really tempted to sometimes look that way, look the other way and be like, oh, that person's doing that. Like, maybe I should go do that. But sometimes, like, I just get this feeling in my stomach that's just like, you got to do what you got to do, And anytime I trust that, it goes well, typically.
What we're talking about now, like as a second ago, with it, as teams grow, it's impossible to know everyone on a one-on-one level, right? And so, like 150 or so employees, it's like impossible for me to know all 150 on a personal level.
Yeah.
So I was talking to our CLO the other day. He was texting me, and he was like, "I appreciate your levity." And I'm like, "I don't know what levity means. Let me go look it up real quick." And do you know what levity means?
I don't know.
Me either. Okay,
I mean,
so
I've heard the word, but
I've never even heard the word.
Once you say it, I'll be like, oh
Yeah, so it's like the treatment of a serious matter with humor. And it's like, it's purposeful. Like people think I'm just being stupid, like, and this is who I am. Like, no, it's like this life's short. So on purpose, yeah, sure. What we do is serious, where we are dealing with, the investments of individuals. That is very serious.
Yeah, it's big.
But however, it's not brain surgery. It's not heart surgery. So we can have fun while still, appropriately handling the investments of others. And so he was just giving a shout out where like, appreciate your levity. I was like, all right, well, let me go look at what levity means. But yeah, I think it makes sense where like, I'm not going to be able to, everybody out there in the office have a one-on-one relationship, but they can know that they can, be themselves here. They can have fun here, which is kind of the next best thing, I would say, in my opinion.
Yeah. My team and I had a meeting yesterday where we were talking about, it was kind of a focus group on how can we make our client experience even better. And at some point in the meeting, one of my account managers that's been around for a while was like using me as an example. She's like, the way that Jake talks to clients is just like he's talking to a friend, like over a beer. Yeah. Like he's just talking to them like normal people. And, a lot of the time, especially a newer person comes into it with a very corporate mindset, and a client onboarding or kickoff meeting might feel very stuffy if you're not accustomed to talking to people that way. But I think it's been really important for me to just remember that we're all just humans trying to figure all these things out together collaboratively. And it's like, just make it fun, like make it human, make it normal, Like I had a meeting last week that was a sales meeting that was an hour long in person. I swear 45 minutes of that meeting, we talked about the Cowboys and the Steelers because I was making jokes about George Pickens and Mike McCarthy and all this other stuff. And then the last 10 minutes were just like, oh yeah, anyway, like, so you guys want to do it? And then, they ended up signing, but it was like 45 minutes of it was just us catching up as humans,
I think it's human nature too, where like we all do this, right? Where maybe in our college heydays, we've all been out and drank too much and we're like, oh, next morning I'm never drinking again.
Right.
We've all been to a funeral, and then we understand how short life is. But then 3 or 4 days go by and we're like back to, taking advantage of how, of life itself almost. And so like, that's a big piece of it too, where we're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, a sinkhole could come right now underneath this building. It happened.
I hope not.
Well, I know it happened in Miami whenever that was. Like, you just never know.
Yeah.
And so like, I'm just never going to live a life of sorrow and sadness when like this life is short.
Yeah.
Even, the average lifespan of a male in America is 76, I think it is. So I'm halfway.
Not 67, not 6'7"?
Not 6'7", 7'6". Funny joke. My son started doing machine pitch baseball called AA, and he wanted to be number 67, so he's number 67.
That's funny.
Average lifespan.
I can't get the 6'7" joke out of my mind. I'm late on it. That's how I know I'm like in my mid 30s now. Is everybody thought that was funny a month ago, and all I'm saying is 6'7" now.
Yeah, I said that to the kids, and they're like, "Oh, that's so old."
Yeah,
like, oh, my bad, guys.
That was like 3 months ago, Jake.
So yeah, 76 and a half years is at least in early 2026. So yeah, right now. So essentially, I'm halfway, not halfway, but I'm 33. So I'm almost halfway through my life. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
It's nuts.
When you think about it like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have 40 years left to live, or 40, whatever the math is on that, 43 years left to live. Mm-hmm. Like,
I used to always do this thing, I still kind of do it, but where you double your age in your mind, and you're like, okay, when I'm double this age, because like you're picturing yourself at halftime almost. It's like, okay, like if I double my age now, I'll be 70, and like I'm still picturing myself at 70, like working and hustling and grinding. I'm like, okay, so that makes me feel a lot better about being 35.
I don't think I'll ever retire. Well, there was the one stat where CEOs that retire, they die within if you're over the age of 65 and you retire as CEO, half of them die within 2 years.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm on a vacation, I'm like, I can enjoy it for like a week, but then I'm like, all right. Like, my wife and I were on a train in Switzerland, and I'm like sitting there on my email, like, all right, not that I can't enjoy time. Like
Yeah.
I enjoyed that trip thoroughly, trust me. But there's just times where I'm just like, I got to get back at, like, I'm just wired for work. I love work.
Yeah, same, dude.
I can't
I'm trying
stop.
to get better at, like, we're going on the baby moon next month for 3 nights. We're going to the Bahamas, just me and my wife, before the baby comes. And I'm going to, on purpose, it'd be the first time that I've gone a day without a cell phone. I'm going to go 3 days, turn my phone off.
It's good.
And just see what it does for my mental health.
You should try the darkness retreat that Aaron Rodgers did.
Dude, hey, Aaron, just kind of double check.
Yeah.
You love that guy?
I mean, he was the Steelers. Funny story about him. My wife, massive Packers fan.
Okay.
I'm a big Steelers fan.
Yeah.
And Rodgers
is he
beat.
back with the Steelers this year?
It's up for debate.
Okay.
The door is open, apparently. So we'll see. But that was the first time we were able to finally have unity in the household with sports, was Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers because she loves him. And so that was fun. But hopefully we can get some other stuff figured out with the Steelers. But another question for you. Why do you, as a founder, choose to put yourself out there so much with content versus just kind of being behind the scenes and letting the company kind of do its thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it, so I mentioned to you earlier before the podcast, my business partner, Michael, I mean, he's been all in on social media since like 2018, 2019. And just seeing what it's done for him and the doors it's opened. He could sell number 2 pencils on Instagram.
Right.
And people would buy it. He's built a brand of trust. And, you know, I never had a problem with putting myself out there. I'm an extrovert. I'm outgoing. That, you know, the camera doesn't bother me. It was more or less, in my opinion, and I think you would agree, like, it's something that if you're going to do it, you have to do it.
You got to go all in.
Yeah, you got to go all in.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the time to go all in, but we had the capital to go all in. And so it's like, all right, let's hire a team that can help me go all in, where, you know, then I hear, you know, videos of Alex Ramosi, you know, talking about 25 hours a week he's spending on content.
Yep.
And I'm like, golly, I spend, you know, like an hour.
Right.
Like, then there's no way I'm going to be able to catch up to some, you know, unless I put in the work.
Right.
So that kind of changed my mindset with it, and I still need to do way more, or probably agrees with me. But yeah, I think I just saw I think personal brand is everything. I think every business, every individual should be doing as much as humanly possible as they can for their brand.
I think sometimes people don't understand it because it's like, if you're not a business owner and you see people like me and you putting out content, and we might be known in our local area or in our industry, but we're not like celebrities.
Yeah.
You know, like we don't have 100,000 million, you know, followers and all that stuff. But I've noticed like people from my growing up and like people that just know me, like before Brick Media, before all that, might view it as kind of like forced or cheesy or like, who do you think you are kind of thing. But it's like, when you own a business, you're doing it for experimentation. You're doing it for the health of your business. I've always just kind of been a creative person that likes to just try things and see, like, I like studying these algorithms and seeing how they all work. But I've had a lot of friends though who own small businesses, just like, I don't want to do that. Like it looks like I'm trying too hard.
Well, I think, like, you know, you don't have to sell anything at first. I think if you can build a following. I mean, this has been proven. I mean, I know it's a little different because I think they were Disney Channel first, but Jake and Logan Paul. Yeah. Were they Disney Channel first?
I think so. Yeah. And then Vine.
Yeah. And so, like, I mean, so personal brand can turn into businesses versus like creating brands in your business. That's all Michael did. I mean, he was a personal brand first, and he created educational content through Airbnb. Then he had a course. Yep. And then Logan Paul with Prime being bigger than Gatorade now. Yeah. I mean, you know, they have a company bigger than Gatorade.
It's crazy.
That, I mean, strictly from pretty much YouTube and Instagram. Yep. You know, and so, I mean, I don't think the individual brand shouldn't be started. It should be education and attention. Yeah. Focused. And then once you build a following and you know, find something that you love and find something you're passionate about, you can create a business behind it.
Of course. Yeah.
Versus like trying to sell stuff from the start.
I mean, personal brand should really just be a reflection of who you are in reality.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah.
A lot of people try to create this groundbreaking content, but it's like, just document your day.
Yeah.
Like, just tell people what you did this week.
Yeah.
Or what you learned this week.
Yeah.
You don't got to overthink it.
As we start closing out here, like, you've worked with some incredible people. Obviously, you built an amazing business in the last, 7-8 years. Whether it's yourself or whether it's the individuals around you that you've worked with, or your friends or your family, like, what are maybe like 2 or 3 things that are like inside the DNA of someone that are like non-negotiables in your opinion?
Kind of like what I was saying earlier, a good sense of self and conviction is something that I've noticed with people. It's like, even though there's a lot of noise, those people always know themselves more than they know themselves more than other people know them. And they're able to confidently follow their intuition more so than looking around in other directions. So that'd be one. I would say accountability is another one that's huge. Is just like, the most successful people I know, they know that not everything is their fault, but they also just view everything as their fault.
Yeah.
Either way. Like, when something goes wrong in your business, you know that somebody else might have messed up,
Yeah.
but you also ultimately know, like, I can do something about it. And I think our world these days is so much like everybody looking around like this person did this and it caused me to have this situation, or the government did that and now I'm screwed over, or my boss is like this and it's impacting me this way. My client, like, even business owners I know are like, oh, my client and, my employees. And at the end of the day, if you're a successful business owner that's really thinking long-term about everything, it's like, you can make the change. Like, you can do something about it. Whether if it's an employee, like, you can do something about it. If it's a client, you can let the client go. You can apologize to the client. You always have a move. So anytime I talk to a friend or somebody else that owns a business and they're kind of just complaining and they're in this mindset of like everything's wrong and they're just going down like a negative spiral, I'm always like, you can do something, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
That's always the most powerful thing to me, is just like, and resourcefulness too. Like, anybody, especially these days with all these AI tools, if anybody is like, how do I blah, 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 I'm like, you look it up and you figure it out. Like these tools and like the ability to just like figure things out these days and like go talk to somebody that's done it before. So I don't know. I think it's just that whole mentality of like not making excuses, not blaming other people, knowing that you have the power to like take an action, being on the offense. I think too many people sit down and they're just kind of like letting life happen. It's like, no, you got to go like attack it and figure it out, So I don't know what that's all called, but it would be that sort of action-oriented offense mentality.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
Well, man, thanks for coming. One of the best podcasts yet. And where can people find more about you?
Just on my own personal social media. That's where you can figure out everything else I'm doing with Brick. And, I put my personal life on there and stuff too. But
What's your IG handle?
IG's the Jake Kurtz.
Then LinkedIn, you're still doing a lot? Or
What, LinkedIn?
yeah, still doing a lot on LinkedIn? Or?
LinkedIn's my main platform. That's
Cool.
like, Instagram's like secondary to me.
Oh, cool.
LinkedIn's where I go the hardest.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks, bro.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. I need one of those hats.
Got you.